Right, Monday, September 26th. I'm Tom Novak. Hey, thanks for joining me. We're, of course, going to be talking about the weather this week, which there's just not much happening, at least here in the northern sections of the country. But I'm going to show you where there's a lot of weather that's going to be upcoming. That would be in the Florida area. It's not often that I focus on Florida or any other part of the country, but there's a lot to talk about down there. So let's get right to it. I'm showing you the moisture channel loop from outer space, the water vapor imagery. You can kind of see exactly what's going on. We've got a pretty fast northwest flow now. This is straight out of Canada. It's from Saskatchewan and our friends in Manitoba. It's coming right down through the upper Midwest. Of course, that's much cooler air that's flowing in on northwest winds. And meanwhile, look at what's happening down here. You're seeing a bunch of moisture now moving north into Cuba and eventually into southern Florida. Yes, that's Hurricane Ian that's going to be creating some big time problems down there. In fact, we're going to zoom in down there because this is going to be an interesting forecast over the next 3 to 5 days here over the southeastern U.S. But here's Ian really picking up steam just south of Cuba, of Havana. The city in Cuba and western Cuba, and that storm system is steadily, slowly, but surely churning to the north and northwest. And then what happens when it gets into the eastern Gulf Coast here is what's going to be the key here on whether western Florida gets hit or whether this goes up into the panhandle of Florida. Here's your winds at 30 to 35,000 feet, the jet stream level. And again, here's that pretty fast northwest flow now in our atmosphere. And let's just rewind this for you. There it is. I apologize. There's that real fast north to northwest flow in our atmosphere. Strong winds, not only at the top at 30 to 35,000 feet, but those strong winds are down at the surface too. That's continuing even into tomorrow. I think tomorrow might be at least a little bit breezy, certainly not like today. And then look at what's happening down here. I just want you to focus on this. This is the tightly wound up Hurricane Ian that's going to be approaching the west coast of Florida as we get into Wednesday. This would be Wednesday afternoon. And eventually, that storm system is going to move into the southeastern United States, and what happens with it from then is going to be a bit of a question mark. But let's focus on our area for a little bit. This is this weekend. This is Sunday. We're kind of in no man's land. No strong winds at all up in the upper levels of our atmosphere. That means pretty tranquil weather, not only for this weekend, but I think that's going to continue into next week as the northwest flow stays north of the Minnesota Canadian border. So, yeah, not much happening here. So, that extended forecast that I show you is going to be something that you're going to want to share with everybody. All right, here are the temperatures in the atmosphere. These are the lower layers of our atmosphere at about 5,000 feet. And look at this colder Canadian air that is pouring south into the upper Midwest today. That cool Canadian air continues to funnel into the region even as we go into tomorrow and then Wednesday morning. And then, of course, we get into a big warm up now as we get into later this week and weekend. In fact, even by Monday of next week, look at all the warm air in the lower layers of our atmosphere here in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes region. Temperatures are going to be, I think, well above normal as we head into the weekend and early next week as cooler air is over the southern United States because of Hurricane Ian. Once Ian moves off to the north and east, it's going to be leaves some cool air in its wake down there. Hence the reason, another reason why we're going to be relatively warm up here in the upper Midwest. Hey, I wanted again to focus on Ian here, and these are the winds now depicted near the surface from the European Computer Model Guidance. And here we go. Look at what happens. This is as we get into early Wednesday morning, probably around 3 or 4 in the morning on Wednesday. Look at how Ian is starting to move north now. And it'll be interesting to see if it pivots a little bit northeast. But look at how it hugs the western coast of Florida. That would mean Tampa Bay and those areas. And this is concerning because there could be a prolonged area of real strong winds. And the European guidance is showing winds at about sustained winds, that is now at about 70 to 80 knots, which you're talking about winds, sustained winds up near 100 miles per hour as you go along the western coast of Florida. And depending on where that hurricane comes on shore is going to be where the strongest winds are going to occur. But right now, they have a path. The European guidance has a path right across the western coast of Florida and then up into the panhandle. We'll have to see because I'm sure that that track is going to wobble a little bit here as we go through time. All right, here's your extended forecast here for the upper Midwest, really for the Twin Cities metro and much of southeastern Minnesota. You can see it here, southeastern, east central Minnesota. Cool mornings here. I'm pretty confident in frost over many areas on Wednesday morning, and we may even have frost tomorrow and Thursday morning too. But look at where our temperatures go. The trajectory is nowhere but up starting on Wednesday, and we're going to be warming to well above average temperatures, I think, as we get into this weekend and early next week. And that may actually even carry over into the first week or two here of October with no rain expected over the 7-day period. All right, that's your forecast, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Take care. We'll talk to you again on Thursday.